Welcome back again, Forging friends. We are on the final deck of this box. Deck 12 out of 12. We'll toss that away. Get that out of here. We're going to open this one up and see what we got. We have yet to find an anomaly in this deck, so this is our last chance. But if we don't find one, hopefully we at least find a fun deck. Alright, so in this one, we have Star Alliance, Shadows, and Dis. We have Sokatai E. Ramashuhai II. It's a very hard to say Archon name, but it's a very skull and tentacle-y Archon. Interesting looking. I like the face in the middle there. All right, let's crack this open and see what we got. All right, our last deck doesn't have Brodnar in it, so let's hope for a good one. Drop down the Archon card, square it up, and we are starting with Star Alliance. And we have the Techiavore Pulpate, a 5-power creature with, after a player chooses an active house, destroy each artifact of that house. Okay, well, with this one, we want to make sure we have few or no artifacts, really, that we want to rely on. So we'll see. Xeno Training is an action card with an Amber Pip. Play, for each house represented among friendly creatures, a friendly creature captures 1 Amber. Pretty good Amber control. And we got 2 of that. Nice. We've got the Quadricorder upgrade. Your opponent's keys cost +1 Amber for each house represented among friendly creatures. We want to have a lot of creatures in this deck to make use of that in the Xeno Training. Information Officer Gray is a 4-power creature with Play, Fight, Reap. You may reveal a non-Star Alliance card from your hand, and if you do, archive it. Great to have some archiving. Zap is an action card with an Amber Pip. Play, deal 1 damage to a creature for each house represented among creatures in play. All creatures in play, yours and your opponent's. We've got Medic Ingram, a 3-power creature with Play, Fight, Reap. You may heal 3 damage from a creature and ward it. Great protector. First Officer Frayne, a 4-power creature with Play, Fight, Reap. A friendly creature captures 1 Amber. More Amber control is nice. And we have 2 of her. We have 3 of her. Wow. We've got Explo Rover, a 3-power creature with Skirmish. And it may be played as an upgrade instead of a creature with the text, this creature gains Skirmish. A lot of creatures in this deck. Very cool. Arms Master Melina, a 4-power creature with Hazardous 3, and each of Arm Master Melina's neighbors gains Hazardous 3. Moving on to Shadows, we have the Sack of Coins action card with an Amber Pip. Deal 1 damage to a creature for each Amber in your pool. Can stack up pretty quick. Ring of Invisibility is an upgrade with an Amber Pip. This creature gains Elusive and Skirmish. Probably good to give to one of those good fighters in Star Alliance. Subtle Maul is an artifact with your opponent discards a random card from your hand. Great disruption. You can reuse every turn. No Safety in Numbers, an action card with an Amber Pip. Play, deal 3 damage to each creature that belongs to a house that has 3 or more creatures in play. Okay. Some damage spreading there. We've got Bren the Fanatic, a 3-power creature with Skirmish, and play, your opponent gains an Amber, destroyed, steal 3 Amber. So maybe we could destroy him with this no safety numbers, but, you know, we'll deal damage to our own Shadows creatures that way, if we have 3 or more Shadows creatures out. So that's a possibility, though, for a nice Amber swing. Yancey Gang is a 5-power creature with action steal 1 Amber. Umbra is a 2-power creature with Skirmish and fight, steal 1 Amber. Trust No One, an action card that says steal 1 Amber if there are no friendly creatures in play. Instead, steal 1 Amber for each house represented among enemy creatures in play, or enemy creatures in general. So this is a pretty good card. Another steal card. Pestering Blow, Amber when you play it, action card. Play, deal 1 damage to a creature and enrage it. Great to stop those pesky reapers. Got 2 of that. Got Mug, an action card with an Amber Pip. Play, move 1 Amber from a creature to your pool and deal 2 damage to that creature. Great to move some Amber around. Kymor Eclipse, shuffle each flank creature into its owner's deck. Great way to get rid of some problematic creatures. Moving on to Dis, we have the interesting artifact, the rare, with an Amber Pip, Snag's Mirror. After a player chooses an active house, their opponent cannot choose the same house as their active house on their next turn. So this is only useful if we share a lot of houses, and if we ourselves don't want to use the same house multiple times in a row. So that's a tricky one to use. I'm sure this deck could probably use it, though. And we have Snag himself. We have the 5-power creature with Fight. Your opponent must choose the house of the creature Snag fights as their active house on their next turn. So if I shared houses with my opponent, and I, said they couldn't pick one of their houses, I could have him fight into the other house, and so they're forced to pick one house. Or basically, yeah, this makes it to where they're forced to pick the one house he fights. So anyway, using them together could probably be very annoying. We have Obsidian Forge, an artifact with an Amber Pip. Action, sacrifice any number of friendly creatures, then you may forge a key at +6 current cost, reduced by 1 amber for each creature sacrificed this way. If you do, destroy Obsidian Forge. We had a lot of creatures in that Star Alliance, so Star Alliance plus the little bit of shadows, and depending on what we have in this disc, we could probably make a good use of this card, from what I see so far. Evil Eye is an action card with an Amber Pip. Play, keys cost +3 amber during your opponent's next turn. Not Finished With You is an action card with an Amber Pip. Play, shuffle any number of creatures from your discard pile into your deck. Great to reuse those creatures we have. We have 2 of those. Malison, a 5-power creature with Fight. You may move an enemy creature anywhere in its controller's battle line. Then if it's on a flank, it captures 1 from its own side. Lilithal, a 5-power creature with Fight Reap. Capture 1 amber. Edarum, a 4-power creature with Reap. Destroy a creature if the house of the house with the most creatures in play. And we have 2 of him. And we have Dendrix, a 5-power creature with Fight. Your opponent discards a random card from their hand. And last card is Buzzle, a 3-power creature with Skirmish. And play Fight. You may purge one of Buzzle's neighbors. If you do, ready Buzzle. Interesting stuff. We didn't get an anomaly, but we have a lot of creatures in this deck, so I'm really looking forward to seeing how that all shakes out in the counts. So I'll separate the cards out, and I'll be right back. All right, welcome back. We have separated out the cards. Let's see how many creatures we have in this deck. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. Okay, 18. That's an average number of creatures. Amber on the cards. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 amber on the cards. So 18 creatures, 15 amber on the cards. Pretty solid amount of those. Looking at amber control, we have 3 first officer friends, so that's 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 so far from just the creatures. 9, 10, 11, 12, wow, 13 cards that do amber control. That's insane. 18 creatures, 15 amber on the cards, and 13 amber control. Those are some really good numbers so far. So then we'll look at artifact control. I think this is our only artifact control, and we have the 2 artifacts in the deck. We have Snag's Mirror and we have Obsidian Forge. So, you know, the Forge actually might be useful in this deck since we have 18 creatures. It might be a thing we can use to get 1 key, maybe the final key, just to like sneak up on it on the final key there. But besides those, you know, since there's only 2, we can probably keep him out to constantly artifact control our opponent. So that's pretty interesting. Looking at creature control, anything that damages or destroys creatures, we have, let's see, it's not that. Okay, so these 2, that's 2. This guy moves creatures around, so that's kind of creature control. So we'll say 2.5. 2.5 for creature control so far. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 creature control. And 9. 9 creature control is pretty solid. I think we've seen a little bit higher, but it's not bad. Looking at efficiency, things that let us use cards off house. I don't know that we had too much of that efficiency-wise. Let's see. Anything that added efficiency to us? I don't believe so. In the creatures, I don't think so. In the amber cards, we have nothing. I don't think we have, the good thing though, I think, is we don't have anything that adds chains at least. So yeah, nothing that really increases our efficiency. I feel like I don't think we had anything that does that. Okay, so in that case, we have 0 efficiency. Looking at recursion, we have, I believe, 2 cards that recur. I don't think any creatures offer us any recursion, really. No. So looking at recursion, we have the 2 not finished with use in here. So that's 2 recursion, pretty good. And nothing else in there. And nothing else in here. This lets us recur play effects, right? We can recur our own play effects. We have a lot of good play effects in Star Alliance, so we can keep those creatures on the flanks, and then shuffle our opponent's creatures in, and then recycle our good play effects. So I'll say 2.5 for that one, since it's very specific. And then we're looking at disruption, things that keep our opponent from playing what they want to play and getting cards out of their hand. And we have a couple of those for sure. Snag, for one thing, makes your opponents choose the house of the creature that he fights. So that could be annoying. That gets rid of cards from their hand, so that's 2. That sort of disrupts their board, but that was more creature control, so 2. And 3 for Snag's Mirror. 3 there. And I think that's it. So 3 for disruption. All right. Well, looking at this, a lot of creatures, a lot of good amber, and the numbers look pretty solid. Our artifact control is a little bit weak. It's not like direct artifact control. So if they have like a passive artifact that offers them some good abilities, they could potentially not choose that house and still get the effects off of it. But still, this is kind of a constant threat that they have to worry about. It has 5 power, so it's not a, not a pushover. So I think that makes up for it a little bit. Looking at like our perceived synergies, we've got a lot of good play effects. We have a lot of creatures, for one thing, in this Star Alliance. And we have, I think, 1 or 2, like Officer Melina, that can offer some protection for our weaker Shadows creatures. And this can protect our Shadows creatures some more. Do we have a good way of destroying Brend? I don't think we really do. I think we have a lot of ways of spreading around maybe smaller damage, but not really any way of doing like a 3 full damage to him outside of maybe Zap. If we play Zap on the turn and there's at least three different houses in play, we could take out the Brend. So that's one way of doing it. And the sack of coins is another way. So we could play Brend. If we have 3 amber, we could immediately sack of coins him. That would be actually really good. Getting 3 amber on a Shadows turn in this deck doesn't seem terribly hard, since we have so many Shadows cards that offer us amber. So that would probably be the play, Brand into sack of coins. So there's some synergy there. And then no safety numbers is kind of the last resort. Maybe a Mug into Pestering Blow could also kill the Brand. So there's some ways we can do that in the Shadows, which is pretty good, actually. We could also Obsidian Forge him. We could also just take him and sacrifice him. And, we don't have to forge a key. We can just sacrifice a creature, get the destroyed effect. So I think that's pretty solid. So there's some good synergies here. Not too much I'm seeing for anti-synergy, so we don't have much that's getting rid of our efficiency. So I'm going to rate this deck pretty high, I would say. It's not super exciting compared to like amazing decks I've seen in like the 80s and 90s. But I'll rank this in the 70s at least. I think this is going to be like a maybe mid to low 70s. I'm going to guess maybe like a 73. I'm feeling 73 for this one. Go ahead and make your guesses, and we will go to my desktop. Okay, welcome back to my desktop, and we have the link copied. I am locking in my guess of 73. I think this deck is pretty good. It doesn't have anything super exciting. It might score higher just because the houses are pretty high value houses. They're all very good. Dis, Star Alliance, and Shadows, all very good houses. So it might end up being more than that, but for me, I didn't see anything very exciting or standout aside from the Snag and Snag's Mirror. But the Snag's Mirror in general is pretty double-edged, right? Like it works for both sides of the board. So if we share houses with our opponents, we're not going to want to. We might run into the situation where it helps them more than it helps us. So I'm going to say a 73. All right, go ahead and make your guesses now. Let's see what we got. 67. It was a little bit lower. Let's see why it ended up being this low. So base 60, and then only 7 synergies and 1 anti-synergy. We'll have to see what that is. So for Amber Control, we have 13. We had quite a bit of Amber Control, nothing that really takes away from it since we didn't have anything that exalts in particular. The Quadricorder being the highest Amber Control thing, so we want to really stick that onto a high power creature, something that'll stick around for a long time. Maybe that Molina might be a good target for it. We have nothing that's super immune to just a destruction, but Molina could survive for quite a bit, especially with that Ring of Invisibility. So okay, keeping that in mind. For artifact control, we just have that Techivore, which offers a whole 1.1 on its own. Amber in general, expected Amber. Brain the Fanatic is the highest, and we have that Sack of Coins being the best way of killing him right off the bat. So we want to pull that off as much as possible in this deck. Creature control, Sack of Coins, the most powerful one. For speed, Information Officer Gray is increasing our efficiency, of course, as we said. And we didn't say that. We said that it was 0, but actually it was right there, yeah. He lets us archive, which increases our efficiency. And I'll finish with you for Recursion, and Snag, Subtle Maul, and Dendrix are the 3 cards we had for Disruption. So we counted these correctly, but I think I overestimated, since we have 18 creatures, how much we can get a use out of that Obsidian Forge. But let's see what we have here for synergies and anti-synergy. We've got Brain the Fanatic having a high synergy with Mug, Pestering Blow, No Safety Numbers, Sack of Coins, and Zap. All great cards to deal him damage and or destroy him. So that's a good thing to have for sure. Information Officer Gray is great with things that replay creatures, so we can bring him back with the Not Finished With Use a couple times. Sack of Coins, always good with high expected Amber, because we have a lot of cards in this Shadows that just give us Amber for playing them, and we have ways of stealing as well. So Sack of Coins will probably get a decent use in this deck. What else stands out here? Meg Ingram is great with things that replay creatures like the Not Finished With Use. Techievo Pulpate has minus synergy with the artifacts. We have 2 artifacts. Oh, actually, we have 3 artifacts. That's right. We have the Subtle Maul too. I forgot about that one. So with 3 artifacts, we have a negative 45% synergy. So we didn't count the artifacts 100% correctly, but and the Subtle Maul is one that wants to stick around too, right? Snag's Mirror we might want to get rid of if it ends up hurting us more than helping us, and the Obsidian Forge destroys itself if it works. But the Subtle Maul will be a loss for sure if we have Techivore Pulpate out. So that's definitely an anti-synergy there. We have things with good fights, Dendrix, Malicent, and Snag. So that's a great synergy. And Umbra, great synergy with that Ring of Invisibility. Even though Umbra already has Skirmish, still very useful to get that get elusive on him. Looking down here, the last one is Kymor Eclipse. Like we said, we can be used to recur creatures with good play effects. So it notes First Officer Frayne, Medic Ingram, and Information Officer Gray as great play effects. We have great play effects in this Star Alliance that we want to keep aware of. So the reason that I think I voted, or I rated this 6 points higher, I thought it was going to be in the 70s, was just because of the sheer quality of the creatures overall. Like, we have 3 Fraynes, which are great for just constantly ticking away your opponent's Amber every turn. Every Star Alliance turn, if they don't address these 3, we could potentially take away 3 Amber from them every turn. Half a key every turn can be captured. And we have Molina there to hold them off. We have Xeno Training to get even more Amber from them. So this Star Alliance is very capture-y, which is nice. And then we have some steals and shadows as well. So a lot of ways to control Amber there. And then our Dis has a lot of synergy along with the shadows in kind of destroying creatures and keeping creatures alive. Since we don't have as many creatures in shadows, we want to use these Not Finished With Use to kind of recur them. Maybe get 2 uses or 3 uses out of that Brain the Fanatic. If we can Sack of Coins him 1 time, if we can then Pestering Blow and 2 Mug him the 2nd time. and then no safety numbers with him the third time, that would be 9 amber we could potentially, or I mean, yeah, 9 amber we could steal from our opponent, which would be great. So I thought, I value the synergies a little higher than they are. There's still a lot of synergy here, but not enough to pull this up from a 60 score, a score in the 60s. So we'll keep that in mind. That the amber control and the expected amber are important, but the amber control needs to be a little bit, I guess, more. There's nothing that hugely sweeps amber aside from the Brend, and no super consistent way of destroying him except for the stack of coins, which is just 1 card in our deck. So these are things to consider in future decks. But yeah, what did you guys guess? Did you get close to the 67? Feel free to leave a comment, and if you like this video, I'd appreciate a like. And if you want to see more of this content, please subscribe. You all have a good day, and in the next video, we will start the mass mutation box, which I'm very much looking forward to. Hopefully I don't find a way to pull a Brobnar in mass mutations. I guess we'll see. But in any case, have a good one. Bye-bye.